Hi everyone. Sorry about that. I just wanted to get everything set up before we get this started. First of all, let me say welcome to the read along live stream for June 2025. It's still the 80th anniversary of Thomas, so yeah. So what's going on, Stefan? You going away somewhere, mate? So what's happening? Before I start, how are you guys doing? Sorry, I just what's happening? Oh, you're going to North Yorkshire Moors Railway, Stefan. Oh, that's fantastic, my friend. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm just kind of doing something with it. So before we start this reading, we can talk first. We can talk first. So yes, hello, Joe. No, whereby. Hello, how you doing? Sorry, give me a second. Sorry, guys, I'm just uploading more gameplays while I'm doing this because I do enjoy doing this. So it's going to take some time. So we can still talk. Oh, we're talking about Thomas Land. That's cool. Yeah. I'm not going this year because I think we need everyone needs a break these days. Yes, so I'll be reading this in a minute. The Adventure Begins, which is one of my favourite Thomas specials. One of my favourite Thomas specials. Am I? I'm in the background. I'm in the background of your video of the Percy model. Oh, right. Was that during the Tugs event? I hope it is. Sorry, guys, keep talking. It was during the Tugs event. Nice. Okay. I don't think I've seen it yet. I don't know if I did or not. I'll double check it. Just give me a second. I'm just currently working on something, but it won't take long. I can promise you that. Just currently working on something. Won't take long. So I'm going to read The Adventure Begins. Yeah, I've got it on DVD too. And I'm going to do Railway Series 5 and 6. Troublesome Engines and Henry the Green Engine. And we'll get started. Just currently working on something. I'm sure the gameplays wouldn't be a problem, but I'll stay on for now this time. Because I know last night's one was just a bit short, but you know, that was a last second decision, and you know, sometimes things like that happen. You know, It's not everyone's fault, is it? Sorry. Unlikely fandom. I wish I win, but I can't. It's an absolute shame, really. Hey there, guys. Sorry. Keep talking. Any questions you'd like to ask? Nearly there. Just one more thing to do, and I'll be ready for the read along. So sorry about that. Oh no, hang on, I got a bit of a problem. That's better. Yeah, sure, I'll give you a sec. Sammy, that's fine. Nearly there, nearly there. Give me a second. Okay, that's the one. Okay, I should be done in a second. So I haven't started yet, so don't worry. Diesel 10. Just a second. Sweetheart, can you just text my mum and tell her that I'm doing my live stream? I have to call her back at 9ish, please. Sorry, I was having a phone call, but right, hold on. My wife's just doing something for me, hold on. Right, sorry, excuse me a second. What did you say? Typical. Alright, no worries. Right, bye. Sorry, guys. Right then, so, shall we get started? Okay then. Let's start with The Adventure Begins. Okay. As Ringo Starr would say, when you hear Thomas whistle, turn the page. Thomas and Friends. The adventure begins. A long time ago, on the island of Sodor, there was a little railway known as the North Western. Sir Topham Hatt was in charge. Many engines worked on the railway. The biggest, Gordon, pulled the express. The smallest, Edward, shunted trucks and coaches with the bigger engines. James had wooden brake blocks that sometimes smoked when he stopped. One day, Gordon told the others that a new engine was coming to the railway. The last one we got was too small to be really useful, he said unkindly. I'm not small, declared James. The new engine's name was Thomas. He had 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome. Thomas seemed awfully small. Sir Topham Hatt must have made a mistake if he was expecting someone really useful, Gordon said. I am really useful, cried Thomas. Thomas tried hard to be Thomas tried hard to be really useful. At first he made a lot of mistakes. He huffed and puffed and rushed to and fro. He biffed and bashed into trucks and got in Gordon's way. Oh, that's very useful, isn't it? Gordon snorted. Thomas's first day on the railway hadn't gone well, but he felt sure he'd soon get the hang of things. The cheeky little engine spotted Gordon asleep in the siding. He crept up and blew his whistle. Wake up, lazy bones, Thomas shouted. Why don't you work hard like me? Thomas hurried off laughing. Gordon was quite cross with Thomas. One rainy night in the sheds, Thomas met Henry, who looked worried. Henry doesn't like rain, Edward explained. He told Thomas Henry's story. Once an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain. It rushed into a tunnel and squeezed through its funnel and never came out again. Henry wouldn't budge, continued Edward. He said the rain would spoil his lovely green paint and red stripes. He refused to move. Even after the rain stopped, in the end Henry had to be brought out of the tunnel with a rope. That's why he's afraid of the rain. One morning, Sir Topham Hatt sent Thomas to the steamworks to be repainted in the colours he'd like to see on his railway. A man painted Thomas's water tank and dome blue. Another trimmed his windows with yellow paint. One used red paint to add stripes. Another man carefully marked out the number 1 on his side. Thomas raced proudly back into the yard. Look, Edward, I'm blue, just like you. Edward laughed happily. You're also number 1. That means I'm the best, cried Thomas. The next morning, Thomas had to fetch Gordon's express coaches, but he arrived late. Hurry up, you, Gordon scowled impatiently. Hurry up yourself, Thomas retorted. Gordon decided to teach Thomas a lesson. Gordon pulled away very quickly. There was no time to uncouple Thomas from the coaches. Gordon dragged Thomas along behind him and raced around the bend. Stop, stop, cried Thomas. Hurry, 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 Gordon said with a grin, and on he raced. Just made a mistake there. At last, Gordon pulled into a station. Well, little Thomas, now you know what hard work is. Now you know what hard work is like, he called. Poor Thomas puffed slowly away to rest. He had a long drink from the water tower. I want to pull my own train, he complained. I want to see the world. One day Henry couldn't work, so Topham Hatt asked Thomas to pull Henry's coaches. At the station, Mr. Topham Hatt warned Thomas to wait until everything was ready. But Thomas was too excited. He raced off before the coaches were coupled up. "Thomas, stop! Come back!" shouted Sir Topham Hatt. Thomas didn't even hear him. "I'm doing it! I'm pulling a train," Thomas said happily as he raced along the line. "Everyone says it's hard to pull trains, but I think it's easy." Then Thomas saw a red signal ahead and slowed to a stop. "Where are your coaches?" asked the signalman. Thomas looked behind him. "Oh no!" he cried. Thomas returned to Knapford Station, where Sir Topham Hatt was trying to calm the unhappy passengers. Thomas said he was very sorry. "You still have a lot to learn, little Thomas," said Sir Topham Hatt sternly. The passengers climbed aboard. This time, Thomas waited for the guard to wave his flag before chuffing off. The next day, Edward kindly offered Thomas a chance to take his goods train. He warned Thomas that trucks sometimes play tricks on the engines. "Don't be silly," Thomas said, laughing. "Be careful," Edward said seriously. Things were going fine until Thomas reached a steep hill. On the way down, the truck sped up. Thomas was going too fast. Thomas was going so fast he nearly went off the track. At Marrow Station, he stopped inches from the buffers. "Why were you going so fast?" asked Sir Topham Hatt. "Edward's trucks were pushing me," Thomas explained. Sir Topham Hatt was cross with both engines and made them stay in the yard. Every day Thomas worked very hard. He wanted to be a really useful engine. One afternoon he and Edward heard a train barreling toward the yard. "Help!" James cried. "The trucks are pushing me!" Thomas sped through the yard with smoke and sparks flying from his wheels. Let me try again, guys. James sped through the yard with smoke and sparks flying from his wheels. Use your brakes!" Thomas yelled as he raced after James. "God, my brake blocks are on fire!" called James. Thomas hurried to catch up with James. He was determined to help his friend. Suddenly, James headed into a tight bend in the track and crashed right off the rails into a field. The troublesome trucks tipped over. "I'll get help, James," Thomas promised him. Thomas raced back to Knapford Yard, right past the Topham Hatt, straight to the breakdown train. "James is derailed, and so have his trucks," he yelled to Judy and Jerome. "Crew up," said Jerome. "Let's go, Judy." In no time, Judy and Jerome were ready to lift James back onto the track. The broken trucks were sad and sorry now. "I hope this will teach you a lesson," scolded Thomas. Sir Topham Hatt was pleased with Thomas. He asked him to take James to the steamworks for repair. The next day, James came back to the yard with new brakes and a splendid new coat of shiny red paint. That night, Sir Topham Hatt paid a surprise visit to the sheds. "Congratulations, Thomas," he said. "Due to your unselfish bravery, you have shown yourself worthy of having your own branch line." Thomas was very proud and happy. Now he even had his very own coaches, Annie and Clarabelle. Thomas the Tank Engine had become a really useful engine at last. Well, that was it. The Adventure Begins, which happens to be one of my favourite Thomas specials, which I really do enjoy. I think it's a really good. No, it hasn't gone out. It's playing up. I've turned it off so I could get ready to for the next two books. Because I'm just getting everything ready for Okay, hold on. So since it's the 80th anniversary of Thomas still, how about we have a little piece of music to say happy birthday to Thomas the Tank Engine and all his friends on the island of Sodor. I hope everyone heard that. Did everyone hear that? Happy 80th. Well, I would say happy. Let's say happy birthday, Thomas, like I did in the book last one. Oh, you did hear it. That's good. Sorry about the noise in the background. It's a washing machine. My missus just doesn't know when to give me my own privacy. Does she? Yeah. So, yeah. So, did everyone enjoy The Adventure Begins? Happy birthday, Thomas the Tank Engine. That's good. You did. Oh, thanks, guys. That means a lot to me. That does. That means a lot. So happy. I'm very happy. So, what was everyone's favourite bit of The Adventure Begins? I bet you like it. I did it like it's a audio story. You know, like they used to use cassette tapes. Or CDs, you know, turn the page, that's, you know, something like that. Oh, sorry, my glasses is a bit... Well, I just love it when I just love it when I use it like Ringo Starr does as an audiobook. Where Thomas went to get painted blue at the ceiling. Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. Right, so I was checking something out. Oh, thanks, Stefan. No, Scott, I'm a really useful YouTuber. Oh, cheers, man. I'm so grateful. Right, and yes, right. The gameplays, the last two gameplays are officially uploaded, so I'm up to speed with my. You like the crash? Oh, the crash, yes. Yeah, the crash is good. I kind of like the rescue, where Thomas rescued James, because that was a way to help an engine in need. Okay then. Who's up for another book? Who's up for Troublesome Engines? Yes, okay then. Let me just turn this on again. There we go. Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay, I'll start with troublesome engines. Okay. I'll start with troublesome engines. Here we go. Right. Right. Yeah, I like to wait it. Okay, here we go. Troublesome engines. Dear friends, news from the line has not been good. The Fat Controller has been having trouble. A short while ago, he gave Henry a coat of green paint. But as soon as he got his old colour back again, Henry became conceited. Gordon and James, too, have been getting above themselves. I am glad to say, however, that the Fat Controller has quite kindly but very firmly put them in their place, and the trains are running as usual. I hope you like meeting Percy. We shall be hearing more of him later. So that's about Percy. The troublesome engines when Percy first got introduced. That's amazing, isn't it? Sorry guys, give me a second. That lamp is getting on my nerves a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Right then. You ready? Henry and the Elephant. Henry and Gordon were lonely when Thomas left the yard to run his branch line. They missed him very much. They had more work to do. They couldn't wait in the shed till it was time and find their coaches at the platform. They had to fetch them. They didn't like that. No, it's okay. I'm starting on the second book. Edward sometimes did odd jobs, and so did James. But James soon started grumbling too. The Fat Controller kindly gave Henry and Gordon new coats of paint. Henry chose green, but they still grumbled dreadfully. We get no rest, they complained, as they clanked about the yard. But the coaches only laughed. You're lazy and slack, they answered in their quiet, rude way. But when the circus came to town, the engines forgot they were tired. They all wanted to shop the special trucks and coaches. They were dreadfully jealous of James when the Fat Controller told him to pull the train when the circus went away. However, they soon forgot about the animals as they had plenty of work to do. One morning, Henry was told to take some workmen to a tunnel which is blocked. He grumbled away to find 2 trucks to carry the workmen and their tools. Pushing trucks, he muttered in a sulky sort of way. They stopped outside the tunnel and tried to look through it. But it was quite dark. No daylight shone from the other end. The workmen took their tools and went inside. Suddenly, with a shout, they all ran out looking frightened. We went to the block and started to dig, but it grunted and moved, they said. Rubbish, said the foreman. It's not rubbish, it's big and alive, and we're not going in there again. Right, said the foreman. I'll ride in the truck and Henry shall push it out. Wheesh, said Henry unhappily. He hated tunnels. He had been shut up in one once, but this was worse. Something big and alive was inside. Beep, 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 he whistled. I don't want to go in. Neither do I, said his driver, but we must clear the line. Oh dear, puffed Henry, as they slowly advanced into the darkness. Bump! Henry's driver shut off steam at once. Help! Help! We're going back! Wailed Henry, and slowly moving out into the daylight came first Henry, then the trucks, and last of all, pushing hard and rather across, came a large elephant. Well, I never did, said the foreman. It's an elephant from the circus. I bet you love that. I tried to do different voices. Henry's driver put on his brakes, and a man ran to telephone for the keeper. The elephant stopped pushing and came towards them. They gave him some sandwiches and cake. So he forgot he was cross, and remembered he was hungry. He drank 3 buckets of water without stopping, and was just going to drink another when Henry let off steam. The elephant jumped and whoosh! He squirted the water over Henry by mistake. Poor Henry. When the keeper came, the workmen rode home happily in their trucks, laughing at their adventure. But Henry was cross. "An elephant pushed me! An elephant pushed me!" he hissed. He was sulky all day, and his coaches had an uncomfortable time. In the shed, he told Gordon and James about the elephant, and I'm sorry to say that instead of laughing and telling him not to be silly, they looked sad and said, "You poor engine, you have been badly treated." Well, Henry's been to the tunnel again, and this time he wasn't shut up. He had to investigate. But don't worry, don't worry, Henry will be fine. Now this next story has been more trouble for the big engines. It is called, oops, oh dear, what have I done that for? It is called Tenders and Turntables. The big stations at both ends of the big stations at both ends of the line each have a turntable. The fat controller had them made so that Edward, Henry, Gordon, and James can be turned round. It is dangerous for tender engines to go fast backwards. Tank engines like Thomas don't need turntables. They can go just as well backwards as forwards. But if you had heard Gordon talking a short while ago, you wouldn't have thought that the fat controller had given him a tender just to show how important he was. "You don't understand, little Thomas," said Gordon. "We tender engines have a position to keep up. You haven't a tender, and that makes a difference. It doesn't matter where you go, but we are important. And for the fat controller to make us shunt trucks, fetch coaches, and go on some of those dirty sidings, it's not the proper thing." And Gordon puffed away in a dignified manner. Thomas chuckled and went off with Annie and Clarabelle. Arrived at the terminus, Gordon waited till all the passengers had got out. Then, groaning and grumbling, he shunted the coaches to another platform. "Disgraceful! Disgraceful!" he hissed as he ran backwards to the turntable. The turntable was in a windy place close to the sea. It was only just big enough for Gordon, and if he was not on it just right, he put it out of balance and made it difficult to turn. Today, Gordon was in a bad temper and the wind was blowing fiercely. His driver tried to make him stop in the right place. Backwards and forwards they went, but Gordon wasn't trying. At last, Gordon's driver gave it up. The fireman tried to turn the handle, but Gordon's weight on the strong wind prevented him. The driver, some plate layers, and the fireman all tried together. "It's no good," they said at last, mopping their faces. "Your tender upsets the balance. If you were a nice tank engine, you'd be all right. Now you have to pull the next train backwards." Gordon came to the platform. Some little boy shouted, "Come on, quick! Here's a new tank engine!" "What a Swiss!" they said when they came near. It's only Gordon back to front." Gordon hissed emotionally. He puffed to the junction. "Hello," called Thomas. "Plain tank engines? Sensible engine. Take my advice. Scrap your tender and have a nice bunker instead. Gordon snorted but didn't answer. Even James laughed when he saw him. Take care, hissed Gordon. You might stick too. No fear, chuckled James. I'm not so fat as you. I mustn't stick, thought James anxiously, as he ran to the turntable later. He stopped in just the right place to balance the table. It could now swing easily. His fireman turned the handle. James turned much too easily. The wind puffed him round like a top. He couldn't stop. At last the wind died down, and James stopped turning. But not before Gordon, who'd been turned on the loop line, had seen him. Well, well, he said, are you playing roundabouts? Poor James, feeling quite giddy, rolled off to the shed without a word. Hang on a second. That night, the three engines had an indignation meeting. It's shameful to treat tender engines like this. Henry gets hooshed by elephants. Garden have to go backwards if people think he's a tank engine. James spins round like a top and everyone laughs at us. And added to that, the fat controller makes us shunt in dirty sidings. Yuck! Said all three engines together. Listen, said Gordon. He whispered something to the others. We'll do it tomorrow. The fat controller will look silly.
Patience is a virtue, so it never hurts to take a little time to see. Sir Topham has taught you, and you know you ought to be as patient as can be. Happy waiting patiently. Don't get too excited, just try staying calm. Thinking for a minute saves you so much harm. Everything around you is rushing here and there. Life can be so simple if you make time to spare. Patience is a virtue, so it never hurts to take a little time to see. Sir Topham has taught you, and you know you ought to be as patient as can be. Happy waiting patiently. Patience is a virtue, so it never hurts to take a little time to see. Sir Topham has taught you, and you know you ought to be as patient as can be. Happy waiting patiently.
Well, looks like the big engines are not. Well, looks like the big engines are not having a good time being treated like this. But it's not anyone's fault. But they're being very silly. Now let's see what happens to the big engines in the next story, which features a brand new friend, which is Percy. And this story is called Trouble in the Shed. The Fat Controller sat in his office and listened. The Fat Controller frowned and said, "What a nuisance passengers are! How can I work with all this noise?" The station master knocked and came in, looking worried. "There's trouble in the shed, sir. Henry is talking, there is no trains, and the passengers are saying this is a bad railway." Indeed, said the Fat Controller. We cannot allow that. Will you quieten the passengers, please? I will go and speak to Henry. He found Henry, Gordon, and James looking sulky. Come along, Henry, he said. It is time your train was ready. Henry's not going, said Gordon rudely. We won't shunt like common tank engines. We are important tender engines. You fetch our coaches and we will pull them. Tender engines don't shunt. And all three engines let off steam in a cheeky way. Oh, indeed, said the Fat Controller severely. We'll see about that. Engines on my railway do as they are told. He hurried away, climbed into his car, and drove to find Edward. The yard has never been the same since Thomas left, he thought sadly. Edward was shunting. Leave those trucks, please, Edward. I want you to push coaches for me in the yard. Thank you, sir. That will be a nice change. That's a good engine, said the Fat Controller kindly. Off you go, then. So Edward found coaches for the three engines, and that day the trains ran as usual. But when the Fat Controller came next morning, Edward looked unhappy. Gordon came clanking past, hissing rudely. Bless me, said the Fat Controller. What a noise! They all hiss me, sir, answered Edward sadly. They say tender engines don't shunt, and last night they said I had black wheels. I haven't, have I, sir? No, Edward, you have nice blue ones, and I am proud of you. Tender engines do shunt, but all the same you'd be happier in your own yard. We need a tank engine here. He went to an engine workshop, and they showed him all sorts of tank engines. There were big ones and little ones. Some looked happy, and some looked sad, and some looked at him anxiously, hoping he would choose them. Hoping he would choose them. At last he saw a smart little green engine with 4 wheels. That's the one, he thought. If I choose you, will you work hard? Oh, sir, yes, sir. That's a good engine. I'll call you Percy. Yes, sir, thank you, sir, said Percy happily. So he bought Percy and drove him back to the yard. Edward, he called, here's Percy. Will you show him everything? Percy soon learned what he had to do, and they had a happy afternoon. Once Henry came by, hissing as usual. Whee! Said Percy suddenly. Henry jumped and ran back to the shed. How beautifully you wished him, laughed Edward. I can't wish like that. Oh, said Percy modestly, that's nothing. You should hear them in the workshop. You have to wish loudly to make yourself heard. Next morning Thomas arrived. The Fat Controller sent for me. I expect he wants help, he said importantly to Edward. Shh, shh, here he comes. Well done, Thomas. You've been quick. Listen, Henry, Gordon, and James are sulking. They say they won't shunt like common tank engines, so I have shut them up, and I want you both to run the line. Common tank engines indeed, snorted Thomas. We'll show them. And Percy will help too. And Percy here will help too, said the Fat Controller. Oh, sir, yes, sir, please, sir, answered Percy excitedly. Edward and Thomas worked the line. Starting at opposite ends, they pulled the trains, whistling cheerfully to each other as they passed. Percy sometimes puffed along the branch line. Thomas was anxious, but both driver and guard promised to take care of Annie and Clarabelle. There were fewer trains, but the passengers didn't mind. They knew the 3 other engines were having a lesson. Henry, Gordon, and James stayed shut in the shed and were cold, lonely, and miserable. They wished now they hadn't been so silly. Well, they served those engines right, thanks to Thomas, Edward, and Percy still helping out with the passengers. But on this one, they had another chance. And let's hear it, as this story is called Percy Runs Away. Henry, Gordon, and James were shut up for several days. At last, the Fat Controller opened the shed. "I hope you are sorry," he said sternly, "and understand that you are not so... Oops. And understand you are not so important after all. Thomas, Edward, and Percy have worked the line very nicely. They need a change, and I will let you out if you promise to be good." "Yes, sir," said the three engines. "We will." "That's right. Well, that's right. But please remember that this no shunting nonsense must stop." He told Edward, Thomas, and Percy that they can go and play on the branch line for a few days. They ran off happily and found Annie and Clarabel at the junction. The two coaches were so pleased to see Thomas again, and he took them for a run at once. Edward and Percy played with trucks. "Stop! Stop! Stop!" screamed the trucks as they were pushed into their proper sidings. But the two engines laughed and went on shunting until the trucks were tidily arranged. Next, Edward took some empty trucks to the quarry, and Percy was left alone. Percy didn't mind that a bit. He liked watching trains and being cheeky to the engines. "Hurry, hurry, hurry!" he would call to them. Gordon, Henry, and James got very cross. After a while, he took some trucks over the main line to After a while, he took some trucks over the main line to another siding. When they were tidy, he ran off to the main line again and waited for the signalman to set the points so that he would cross back to the yard. Edward had warned Percy, "Be careful on the main line." Whoops, let me try again, sorry. Edward had warned Percy, "Be careful on the main line, whistle to the signalman you are there." But Percy didn't remember to whistle, and the busy signalman was so busy he had forgot Percy. Bells rang in the signal box. The man answered saying the line was clear, and set the signals for the next train. Percy waited and waited. The points were still against him. He looked along the main line. "Beep! Beep!" He whistled in horror, for rushing straight towards him was Gordon with the express. "Poop, poop, 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 poop," whistled Gordon. His driver shut off steam and applied the brakes. Percy's driver turned in full steam. "Back, Percy, back!" he urged. But Percy's wheels wouldn't turn quickly. Gordon was coming so fast that it seemed he couldn't stop. With shut eyes, Percy waited for the crash. His driver and fireman jumped out. "Oh!" groaned Gordon. "Get out of my way!" Percy opened his eyes. Gordon had stopped with Percy's buffers a few inches from his own. But Percy had begun to move. "I won't stay here. I'll run away," he puffed. He was soon clear of the station and running as fast as he could. He went through Edward Station and was so frightened that he ran right up Gordon's Hill without stopping. He was tired then and wanted to stop, but he couldn't. He had no driver to shut off steam and to apply the brakes. "I shall have to wait. I shall have to run till my wheels wear out," he thought sadly. "Oh dear, oh dear. I want to stop, I want to stop," he puffed in a tired sort of way. He passed another signal box. "I know just what you want, little Percy," called the man kindly. He set the point, and Percy puffed wearily onto a nice empty siding, ending in a big bank of earth. Percy was too tired now to care where he went. "I want to stop, I want to stop. I have stopped," he puffed thankfully, as his bunker buried itself in the bank. "Never mind, Percy," said the workman as he dug him out. "You shall have a drink and some coal, and then you'll feel better." Presently Gordon arrived. "Well done, Percy. You started so quickly that you stopped a nasty accident." "I'm sorry I was cheeky," said Percy. "You were clever to stop." Percy now works in the yard and finds coaches for the trains. He's still cheeky because he is that sort of engine. But he's always most careful when he goes on the main line. Well, that was Troublesome Engines. So, did everyone enjoy that one? Did everyone enjoy that one? Yeah, I know. Yeah, the song was beautiful, but did everyone enjoy me reading the book? Yeah, I noticed on some of the comments section you keep talking about what's the worst episodes and worst seasons. I have a request. Please stop. This is a read-along live stream, and I don't want anything upsetting me or anything. Okay? I know people are entitled to their opinions, but just for tonight, can we not say what's the worst episode and what's the worst seasons, please? Because it does upset me a bit. Because we keep, every time I go on live, people keep going on about it, and an applause from Joe Light Railway. Thank you, mate. Yeah, so let's not argue about what's the worst episode and what's the worst season or anything, because in my opinion I do find that offensive. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but it's best to keep it to yourselves. Alright? I'm not having a pop or anything, it's just sometimes I find it a bit upset. Right, so who's ready for Henry the Green Engine? I didn't say you were arguing. I didn't say anyone was arguing. Please don't think I wasn't. Before I start, I didn't say you lot were arguing. Honestly, whoever said that, what makes you think I think that you're arguing? I'm just saying, let's not talk about this right now because sometimes that kind of ruins it. Anyway, that's enough talk, okay? So let's do Henry the Green Edge, and then we'll call it a night. Right? I want you to say, right, audience. Right, so I want you to put your hands up. Well, I want you to comment saying, "I'm ready for Henry." So if you're ready for Henry, comment saying, "I'm ready for Henry." That's what rhymes, doesn't it? Right. The Rainamon stand. I'm ready for Henry. I'm ready for Henry. Ready for Henry. Okay, we're all ready for Henry. Let's get started. Henry the Green Engine. Dear friends, here is more news from the region. All the engines now have numbers as well as names. You will see them in the pictures. They are as follows: Thomas 1, Edward 2, Henry 3, Gordon 4, James 5, Percy 6. Then I expect you were sorry for Henry, who was often ill and able to work. He gives Sir Topham Hatt, who is of course our fat controller, a lot of worry. Now Henry has a new shape and is ready for anything. These stories tell you all about it. Well, let's see what happens to Henry in the first story, Coal. I suffer dreadfully and no one cares. Rubbish, rubbish, Henry, snorted James. You don't work hard enough. Henry was bigger than James, but smaller than Gordon. Sometimes he could pull trains, but sometimes he had no strength at all. The fat controller spoke to him too. You are too expensive, Henry. Sorry, guys, give me a second. Just had a notification or something. Okay. Try again. The fat controller spoke to him too. You are too expensive, Henry. You have lots of new parts and new paint too, but they've done you no good. If we can't make you better, we must get another engine instead of you. This made Henry, his driver, and his fireman very sad. The fat controller was waiting when Henry came to the platform. He had taken off his hat and coat and put on overalls. He climbed to the footplate and Henry started. Henry is a bad steamer, said the fireman. I build up his fire, but it doesn't give enough heat. Henry tried very hard, but it was no good. He had not enough steam, and they stopped outside Edward Station. Oh dear, thought Henry sadly, I shall have to go away. Edward took charge of the train. Henry stopped behind. What do you think is wrong, fireman? Asked the fat controller. The fireman mopped his face. Excuse me, sir, he answered, but the coal is wrong. We've had a poor lot lately, and today it's worse. The other engines combiners, they have big fireboxes. Henry's is small and can't make the heat. With Welsh coal, he'd be a different engine. It's expensive, said the fat controller, but Henry must have a fair chance. James should go and fetch some. When the Welsh coal came, Henry's driver and fireman were excited. Now we'll show them, Henry, old fellow. I think of a TV series on that bit. They carefully oiled his joints and polished his brass till it shone like gold. Until it shone like gold. His fireman had already been lit. His fire had already been lit, so the fireman made it carefully. He put large lumps of coal like a wall round the outside, then he covered the glowing middle part with smaller lumps. You're spoiling my fire, complained Henry. Wait to see, said the fireman. We'll have a roaring fire, just when we want it. He was right. When Henry reached the platform, the water was boiling nicely, and he had let off steam to show how happy he was. He made such a noise the Fat Controller came up. He made such a noise that the Fat Controller came out to see him. How are you, Henry? Peep, 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 whistled Henry. I feel fine. Have you a good fire, driver? Never better, sir, and plenty of steam. No record breaking, warned the Fat Controller, smiling. Don't push him too hard. Henry won't need pushing, sir. I'll have to hold him back. Henry had Henry had a lovely day. He had never felt so well in his life. He wanted to go fast, but his driver wouldn't let him. Steady, old fellow, he would say. There's plenty of time. They arrived early at the junction. Where have you been, lazybones? Asked Henry when Thomas puffed in. I can't wait for dawdling teenagers like you. Goodbye. Whoosh, said Thomas to Annie and Clarabelle as Henry disappeared. Have you ever seen anything like it? Both Annie and Clarabelle agreed that they never had. Poor Thomas, being teased by Henry. Well, he got his own back for teasing Henry when he left the guard before he left the guard behind. Let's see how Henry's doing on the next story, The Flying Kipper. Lots of ships use the harbour at the big station by the sea. The passenger ships have spotless paint and shining glass. Other ships, though small and dirtier, are important too. They take coal, machinery, and other things abroad and bring back meat, timber, and things we need. Fishing boats also come there. They unload their fish on the quay. Some of it is sent to shops in the town, and some goes in a special train to other places far away. The railwayman called this train the Flying Kipper. One winter evening, Henry's driver said, We'll be out early tomorrow. We've got to take the Flying Kipper. Don't tell Gordon, he whispered, but I think if we pull the Kipper nicely, the Fat Controller will let us pull the Express. Sorry, I try my best not to hurt my throat on this bit. Hurrah! Cried Henry, excited. That will be lovely. He was ready at 5 o'clock. There was snow and frost. Men hustled and shouted, loading the vans with crates of fish. The last door banged, the guard showed his green lamp, and they were off. Come on, don't be silly, puffed Henry to the vans, as his wheels slipped on the icy rails. The vans shuddered and groaned. Truck trick, all right, they answered grudgingly. That is better, puffed Henry more happily, as the train began to gather speed. Thick clouds of smoke and steam poured from his funnel into the cold air, and when his firemen put on more coal, the fire's lights shone brightly on the snow around. Hurry, panted Henry. They hoofed under bridges and clattered through stations, green signals lights showing as they passed. They were going well. The light grew better, and a yellow signal appeared ahead. Distance signal up! Distance signal up, thought Henry. Caution! His driver shutting off steam, prepared to stop, but the home signal was down. All clear, Henry. Away we go. They couldn't know the points from the main line to a siding were frozen, and that signal had been set to danger. A fall of snow had forced it down. A goods train waited in the siding to let the Flying Kipper pass. The driver and fireman were drinking cocoa in the brake van. The guard put out his watch. The Kipper is due, he said. Who cares, said the fireman. This is good cocoa. The driver got up. Come on, fireman, back to our engine. Hey, the fireman gobbled. I haven't finished my cocoa yet. A sudden crash. The brake van broke, and 3 men shot in the air like jacks in the box and landed in the snow outside. Henry's driver and fireman jumped clear before the crash. The fireman fell head first into a heap of snow. He kicked so hard that the driver couldn't pull him out. Henry sprawled on his side. He looked surprised. The goods train fireman waved his empty mug. "You clumsy, great engine! The best cup of cocoa I ever had, and you bump into me and spill it all." "Never mind your cocoa, fireman," laughed the driver. "Run and telephone the breakdown gang." The gang soon cleared the line, but they had hard work lifting Henry to the rails. The fat controller came to see him. "The signal was down, sir," said Henry nervously. "Cheer up, Henry. It wasn't your fault. I should so cause the accident. I'm sending you to Crewe, a fine place for sick engines. They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox. Then you'll feel a different engine and won't need special coal anymore. Won't that be nice?" "Yes, sir. Yes, sir," said Henry doubtfully. Henry liked being a Crewe, but was glad to come home. A crowd of people waited to see him arrive in his new shape. He looked so splendid and strong that they gave him 3 cheers. "Beep, beep, 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 beep. Thank you very much," he whistled happily. I am sorry to say that a lot of little boys are often late for school because they wait to see Henry go by. They often see him pulling the express, and he does it so well that Gordon is jealous. But that is another story. Well, it looks like Gordon's going to cause some trouble, and it looks like he will be taught a lesson in this next story, Gordon's Whistle. Gordon was cross. "Why should Henry have a new shape?" he grumbled. "A shape good enough for me is good enough for him. He goes gallivanting off to Crewe, leaving us to do his work. It's disgraceful. And there's another thing. Henry whistles too much. No respectable engine ever whistles loudly at stations." "It isn't wrong," said Gordon, "but we just don't do it." Poor Henry didn't feel happy anymore. "Never mind," whispered Percy. "I'm glad you are home again. I like your whistling." "Goodbye, Henry," called Gordon next morning as they left the shed. "We are glad to have you with us again, but be sure and remember what I said about whistling." Later on, Henry took a slow train and presently stopped at Edward's station. "Hello, Henry," said Edward. "You look splendid. I was pleased to hear your happy whistle yesterday." "Thank you, Edward," smiled Henry. "Shh, shh. Can you hear something?" Edward listened. Far away, but getting louder and louder, was the sound of an engine's whistle. "It sounds like Gordon," said Edward, "and it ought to be Gordon. But Gordon never whistles like that." It was Gordon. He came rushing down the hill at a tremendous rate. He didn't look at Henry, and he didn't look at Edward. He was purple in the boiler and whistling fit to burst. He screamed through the station and disappeared. "Well," said Edward. "It isn't wrong," chuckled Henry, "but we just don't do it." And he told Edward what Gordon had said. Meanwhile, Gordon screeched along the line. People came out of their houses. Air raid sirens started. 5 fire brigades got ready to go out. Horses upset their carts and old ladies dropped their parcels. At a big station, the noise was awful and passengers held their ears. The fat controller held his ears too. He gave a lot of orders, but no one could hear them, and Gordon went on whistling. At last he clambered into Gordon's cab. "Take him away!" he bellowed, "and stop that noise!" Still whistling, Gordon puffed sadly away. He whistled as he crossed the points. He whistled on the siding. He was still whistling as the last deafened passenger left the station. The 2 fitters climbed up and knocked his whistle valve into place. And there was silence. Gordon slunk into the shed. He was glad it was empty. The others came in later. "It isn't wrong," murmured Henry to no one in particular, "but we just don't do it." No one mentioned whistles.
Sing a song for Gordon. He's big, he's fast, he's proud. His paint is blue, so strong and true, and his whistle's really loud. The fastest train on Sutton. You can't forget his name. So when we song for Gordon, well, let's sing it once again. Through wind and rain he thunders on him we can rely. Reliable and useful too, and that's the reason why. We'll sing a song for Gordon. He's big, he's fast, he's proud. His paint is blue, so strong and true, and his whistle's really loud. The fastest train on Sodor, you can't forget his name. So when we sing for Gordon, well, let's sing it once again. Sing a song for Gordon. He's big, he's fast, he's proud. His paint is blue, so strong and true, and his whistle's really loud. The fastest train on Sodor, you can't forget his name. So when we've sung for Gordon, well, let's sing it once again.
What was that Gordon said about Henry whistling too much? Well, I guess that taught him a lesson, because on this song he whistled too much. I guess that taught him a lesson. It looks like Percy's in for a spot of bother as well. On the next story, Percy and the trousers. On cold mornings, Percy often saw workmen wearing scarves. "My funnel's cold, my funnel's cold," he would puff. "I want a scarf, I want a scarf." "Rubbish, Percy," said Henry one day. "Engines don't wear scarves." "Engines with proper funnels do," said Percy in his cheeky way. "You've only got a small one." Henry snorted. He was proud of his short, neat funnel. Just then a train came in, and Percy, still puffing, "I want a scarf, I want a scarf," went to take the coaches to their siding. His driver always shut off steam just outside the station, and Percy would try to surprise the coaches by coming in as quietly as he could. Two porters were taking some luggage across the line. They had a big load and were walking backwards to see that none fell off the trolley. Percy arrived so quietly that the porters didn't hear him till the trolley was on the line. The porters jumped clear. The trolley disappeared with a crunch. Boxes and bags burst in all directions. "Oh!" groaned Percy and stopped. Sticky streams of red and yellow down trickled down his face. A top hat hung on his lamp iron. Clothes, hats, boots, shoes, skirts and blouses stuck to his front. A pair of striped trousers coiled lovingly round his funnel. They were no longer grey. Angry passengers looked at their broken trunks. The fat controller seized the top hat. "Mine," he said. "Percy," he shouted, "look at this." "Yes, sir, I am, sir," a muffled voice replied. "My best trousers, too." "Yes, sir, please, sir," said Percy nervously. "I am very cross," said the fat controller. "We must pay the passengers for their spoiled clothes. My hat is dented and my trousers are ruined. All because you will come into the station. as if you were playing grandmother's steps with the coaches. The driver unwound the trousers. The Fat Controller waved them away. Percy wanted a scarf. He shall have my trousers for a scarf. They will keep him warm. Percy wore them back to the yard. He doesn't like scarves now. But legs going trousers, no funnels. Yeah, that's right. Well, so Percy really needs to learn about cold weathers and warm scarves. But this last story is all about some naughty boys hurting it. Let me try again. This last one is all about some very naughty boys throwing stones. That's very dangerous. On this story, Henry Sneeze. One lovely Saturday morning, Henry was puffing along. The sun shone, the fields were green, the birds sang. Henry had plenty of steam in his boiler, and he was feeling happy. I feel so well, he sang. Trickety truck, hummed his coaches. Henry saw some boys on the bridge. Beep, beep, hello, he whistled cheerfully. Beep, beep, beep. He called the next moment. Oh, oh, oh! For the boys didn't wave and take his number. They dropped stones on him instead. They were silly, stupid boys who thought it would be fun to drop stones down his funnel. Some of the stones hit Henry's boiler and spoiled his paint. One hit the fireman on the head as he was shoveling the coal, and others broke the carriage windows. It's a shame, hissed Henry. They've broken our glass, sobbed the coaches. The driver opened the first aid box, bandaged the fireman's head, and planned what he was going to do. They stopped the train, and the guard asked if any passengers were hurt. No one was hurt, but everyone was cross. They saw the fireman's bumped head and told him what to do for it. And they looked at Henry's paint. Call the police! No, said the driver. Leave it to Henry and me. We'll teach those lads a lesson. What will you do? They asked. Can you keep a secret? Yes, they all said. Well then, said the driver, Henry's going to sneeze at them. What? Cried all the passengers. The driver laughed. Henry draws air in through his fire and puffs it out with smoke and steam. When he puffs hard, the air blows ashes from his fire into his smoke box, and then ashes sometimes prevent him puffing properly. When your nose is blocked, you sometimes sneeze if Henry's smoke box is blocked. I can make air and steam blow the ashes out through his funnel. We'll do it at the bridge to startle those boys. Henry puffed on to the terminus, where he had a rest. Then he took the train back. Lots of people were waiting at the station just before the bridge. They wanted to see what would happen. Henry has plenty of ashes, said the driver. Please keep all windows shut till we have passed the bridge. Henry is excited as we are, aren't you, old fellow? And he patted Henry's boiler. Henry didn't answer. He was feeling stuffed up, but he winked at his driver like this. Ding! The guard's flag waved, his whistle blew, and they were off. Soon, in the distance, they saw the bridge. There were the boys, and they all had stones. Are you ready, Henry? Said his driver. Sneeze hard when I tell you. Now, he said, and turned the handle. And tissue! Smoke and steam and ashes spouted from his funnel. They went all over the bridge and all over the boys, who ran away as black as soot. Well done, Henry, laughed his driver. They won't drop stones on engines again. Your coat is all black, but we'll rub you down and paint your scratches, and soon you'll be as good as new tomorrow. Henry has never again sneezed under a bridge. The Fat Controller doesn't like it. His smoke box is always cleaned in the yard while he was resting. He has now gone under more bridges than he can count, but from that day to this, There have been no more boys with stones. Well, we've done it. We've done it. One sec. We've done it. Another read along, and that was a big success. I have really enjoyed that. So yeah, I think we should call it a night now, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. I've really enjoyed that, and I'm sure I will do more, possibly next month, but let's see what happens. And I'm going to sign off now because it is time to go. It's getting a bit late. So thank you so much for watching. I actually enjoyed that. That was really good. So so it's time for me to sign off because it's getting a bit late. The kids got to school in the morning, and so I'll be off. So thank you again for watching, and I'm sure there will be more live streams pretty soon. And in the meantime, have a good evening, and I'll do some more videos as soon as I can. Okay, good night everyone.